Okay, DARPA, the Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency, have funded this work, which is by a fellow by the name of Kendall Haven. This is a 4-year-long intensive research project he's done on the nature of story structure and how it influences behaviour in labs, testing for neurochemistry, testing fMRIs, minutely adjusting the structures of stories to see how it affects empathy and how it prompts behaviour. And this is what they've come out with at the other end, the story influence occasion. Almost useless for us because you would need a complex lab to implement, but it's instructive. The first thing is, story is quantifiable. Right? Classically, we think of it as a kind of healy-feely, soft, fuzzy thing. But actually what they are finding is that the behavioural outcomes of certain narratives on particular groups are predictable. Why is the Defence Association funding this? Because of radicalisation, because of narratives coming out of terrorist cells. They want to be able to test them and look at the potential of those stories to radicalise, in particular, young men. And this is what they've found, that this structure is very effective. What's interesting for us, as people who are also looking to influence behaviour, but I would suggest in a more positive light, given who's in the room, is that there's a few key things about this. That at the core of storytelling, effective storytelling, we have this. Okay, so let's have a basic look at it. IP, the influence potential, right? How likely is it to get someone to do what you're wanting them to do? Is a factor of the residual resolution emotion, how they feel at the end of the story. That's all that means. How do I feel at the end of the story as your listener? Timesed by the difference between the strength of audience empathy with the identity character. The identity character is the hero of the story, for lack of a better word. I like the word protagonist. That's a theatrical word for it. Essentially, the person who goes through the journey of the story, the one who I identify and empathize with. If I identify really, really strongly with them, the story is going to have a bigger emotional impact on me. But what is also critical is the strength of audience antipathy to the faux character. Okay, the faux character is the big problem or obstacle that our protagonist, our hero, is up against. If I hate that thing, for example, if I hate the cancer that is taking Ben's life and the impact it's having on the family, if that gets me really emotionally charged, then the impact of the emotion I feel at the end is more likely to influence my behaviour. Why is this useful for us? Is because these things and the structure I'm going to show you help us to look at the stories we're telling, to analyse from the stories that we get and we can choose from, which one of them is most likely going to affect our audience in the way that we want them to be effective. And which parts of the story do we tell? Which parts do we emphasise? Right? This sits at the core of them. Stories can be very slippery things when you're telling them, oh, which bit do we do, which bit do we edit out, right? This and the 5-element story structure that I'm going to share with you are really critical for helping us to craft stories, to cut out the bits we don't need and to emphasise the bits we do.